Nick, first of all, I am so excited to talk to you today from Wairau River in New Zealand. And I am so excited to try these two delicious wines, both the Sauvignon Blanc and the Pinot Noir. First of all, tell me a little bit, how long have you been at Wairau River?
Yeah, it's been a long time now. I've actually just done my 16th vintage with the family. Pretty
Oof.
incredible to be working with a company for that period of time, but it means that, yeah, it's nice to understand the vineyards and feel really confident in the wines that we're making. So, yeah, it's great. I wouldn't go anywhere else, to be honest.
Wonderful. Well, we hear you are the man, the chief winemaker at Wairau River. Let's start with the Sauvignon Blanc, which the Marlborough region of New Zealand is really known for. Take me through what makes this wine so unique, and if you had to describe it, how would you do it?
Yeah, it's definitely the flagship variety for Marlborough. It's that vibrancy that we get. It all comes down to the soils and the climate that we have here in Marlborough. So very, very stony, ex-riverbed soils. So a lot of deep gravels, which provide a nice minerality for the wines. And then also the climate that we have here. So bright, beautiful, sunny days during summer, and then cool air that comes in from the ocean in the evening time. And what that does is that means that the wines retain a really nice mineral acidity as well. And so it's that sort of combination of tropical fruits and tight mineral acidity is really what defines Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay, and what does it pair the best with? If you're going, this podcast is going to drop right around Thanksgiving in the U.S. A lot of people out buying wine. People like to have a bottle of white and a bottle of red on their table. What is Sauvignon Blanc best with?
Marlborough is really well known for our seafood, so I would say anything seafood related, whether it's fresh yellowtail kingfish or some mussels, some clams, even with oysters, it really really pairs very very well. Equally, if you're looking for something a little bit more meaty, a roast chicken or something along those lines goes very very well. It's such a versatile variety. It's not just something that you can only have with one particular type of dish. It really pairs across the board, I would say.
Well, I'm going to take a sip of this Sauvignon Blanc. Tell me a little bit about what I'm tasting and what I should look for as I sip this.
Yeah, like I said, it's that sort of richness and vibrancy of the tropical passion fruit notes that we get a lot of here in Marlborough. There's always
Mm,
a slight cut grass
mm,
greenness, and that always
yeah,
provides a little more lift and
it's
length.
delicious.
And then the key for us here at Wairau River is that citrus minerality. So there's always a twist of lemon on the palate, and that
Mm.
provides really great length and just drives those flavors a lot longer. We're looking for wines that are, very impressive aromatically, but also have that ability to age as well, so that when people are finding them out in the market or in the supermarket, or they have them in their cellars, after a couple of years, they're still looking, really bright and fruitful like this wine is.
I love to make a kale salad with sliced pears and gorgonzola, and I always
Yeah, that
top
sounds
it with
great.
like a grilled shrimp. And I always feel like, the grilled shrimp and a Sauvignon Blanc, like that's the perfect dinner, very light and just beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. It's a Sauvignon Blanc's a wine for any occasion, I think. It's yeah, summertime on the beach, down at the beach, a little bit of fishing off the back of the boat. This is what we drink.
I love it. I love it. Great. Well, when people think of Wairau River, of course they think of Sauvignon Blanc, but you're also really known for your Pinot Noir. So take me through. I'm going to pour myself a little tasting of the Wairau River. This happens to be 2022 Pinot Noir. What should I expect when I take a sip of this?
Yeah, Pinot Noir is probably the third largest planted variety here in Marlborough and in New Zealand in general.
Mhm.
It's a variety that harks back to some of the characteristics that you would see from Burgundy, but again, like the Sauvignon Blanc, where we're defined by a lot more upfront, bright fruitfulness. There's a lot of raspberries and red cherries on the nose. We're always looking to try and build some savoury complexity into the mid palate as well. There's subtle oak used throughout the process, and then that oak and that savouriness provides a really nice structure and a backbone of silky tannins. And then again, the finish will be dry, and you'll see some of that typical Marlborough minerality coming through on the Pinot Noir as well. It's not quite as rich and unctuous as some of the other Pinot Noirs from around New Zealand. Marlborough is definitely a little bit more refined and elegant, I would say.
That is delicious. You hit it the nail on the head when you said silky. It's very silky. This is a perfect wine for a Thanksgiving meal, in my opinion. Especially that really would stand up against a very hearty turkey and stuffing and all the sides that go with a traditional American Thanksgiving meal. Really, really delicious. That is the Pinot Noir. I know you're also known for a Pinot Gris if someone wants something slightly sweeter as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think Pinot Gris is the second largest planted variety here in Marlborough and for us, and it's a great alternative for those that might like the acidity of Sauvignon Blanc. They're still looking for that bright fruitfulness, but the spectrum tends to push a little bit more into that baked pear and quince. Some nice floral notes coming through on that wine as well. Still has good minerality, but the acidity is definitely lower, and it's a really good alternative for those that are looking for a change from Sauvignon Blanc.
Well, I know that one of the things that makes Wairau River so spectacular and so unique is the fact that so many family members work on the premises and on site. What do you love most about the location and the winery where you work?
Yeah, it's incredible actually. I've only ever worked for family-owned wine companies, and
Mm.
the roses are so generous, and it's such a great place to work. I've had so many opportunities working here, and working with the family members every day is incredible as well. They've got such a rich understanding of all of the vineyards. Sam and Hamish, the two sons that are involved in vineyard and winemaking side, they've got such an intimate knowledge. They walk those vines, they planted many of them, and so
Mm.
having that base of knowledge from them, and then also from Phil as well, the founder of the company, to understand the seasons and to understand the best way to get the best out of the grapes is really, really incredible. And then all the other family members involved in the company as well. Lindsay, who's the CEO, Pip's in charge of the restaurant, Christy, like the list goes on, and it's really truly is a family-owned business, and they all have their own parts to play in the business, which is pretty incredible. It's really, really incredible.
Well, cheers to you, Nick. I'm going to take another sip of this delicious Pinot Noir. I also want to say cheers to the Rose family, who are at the helm of Wairau River. What a beautiful winery and vineyard they've created. A proud sponsor of To Dine For the podcast. I'm so grateful to them. I'd love it if you would show me around a little bit. Is there any way we can kind of go mobile here and you can show me a little bit of a little slice of your world?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to take my glass of Pinot Noir with me because it holds a special place
Please.
in my heart as one of the varieties I really love. So
Excellent.
yeah, come with me. We'll go downstairs into the barrel hall and have a look at some of the barrels that go into the production of this Pinot Noir, and then after that we'll
I
head
would love
outside
that.
into the vineyard and we'll have a bit of a look around there as well. So yeah, come along.
Sounds great. Excellent.
So I'd say this is probably one of the places where I'm most at home. Here in the barrel hall, we're surrounded by the Pinot Noir that we've been tasting, resting in barrel. It's been
Ah,
between 9 and 12 months in barrel, depending on the vintage and how the wines are progressing. We use a mixture of different cooperages, all from France, French oak, to just provide different flavors. I tend to think about barrels being like the spice rack for the winemaker. So if you need a little bit more sort of cinnamon, or if you
yes.
need a little bit more pepper, or if you're looking for a little more structure, each of the different barrels provides a different component to the wine. So yeah, come on down and have a look at the scale of barrels that we have.
So let me get this straight, Nick. First of all, are all the barrels French oak or just some of them? And are you using that wood of the barrel when you're kind of envisioning what you want the wine to taste like?
Yeah, they're all French oak, 100% French oak. You can use American oak barrels. They tend to provide a lot more vanillin type character, which is something that we're not really looking
Okay.
for in our Pinot Noir. And as you can see here, there's
Mhm.
different cooperages markings on the front of each of the barrels, and we buy specific barrels, particularly for specific batches from the vineyard that are going to be in particular fermenters. So every year, the same fruit coming in from the vineyard tends to go into the same style of barrels. So this one that we're just looking at here is from the Allier forest in the centre of France. It's a medium plus toasting, and it's been seasoned for 3 years. And what that means is that the staves are left out, exposed to the elements for 3 years to wash away a lot of that greenness. You can do 24, but we tend to do 36 months. or 3 year aging for all of our wood. We just find that it gives us more fineness and richness through the palate.
And then you said that most of the wines are in the barrels from 9 to 12 months. Is that, or is it longer?
It's generally that for the Pinot Noir. We do have some other varieties that
Yep.
we produce. Syrah can be between 18 and 24 months. It's a much bigger, bolder, more structural wine. But I think for the style of Pinot Noir that you're looking at today, that light fruitfulness, 10 to 12 months seems to be the magic number. We can sometimes lose a little bit of that freshness and it goes a little more savory. And all of our wines are designed for immediate drinking when they're purchased, but they also have that ability to age in people's cellars as well. It's just that fine line between something that's very structural and a little bit closed in its youth, and something that's immediately drinkable. And we're definitely going for that immediately drinkable kind of style.
Well, that really leads me to the question I think a lot of wine drinkers want to know, and that is, when do you know? You said that your wines are immediately drinkable, but when do you, Nick, like to drink them? I mean, is it 2 years? Is it 4 years? I mean, what are you when you can pick any vintage, right? So you're exactly the right person to ask. What age do you typically look for?
It's part of my contract that I get 12 bottles of every wine that we produce. And so I tend to drink
Okay.
2 or 3 kind of in the first couple of years every year. And then I start
Okay.
to age them out a little bit. So generally I'm drinking most of my wines between sort of 3 and 5 years. Some of the bigger wines like
Okay.
the Pinot Noir can go up to 8 to 10 years. But I would say the
Okay.
majority for us is, for Sauvignon Blanc, definitely immediate drinking. 1 to 2 years after that, you'll probably get the best out of it. They do have the ability to age, but you lose some of that freshness. For things like Pinot Noir, again, immediacy is great, but with 2 to 3 years within the cellar, they tend to look really, really nice. 3 to 5 years, sort of a little bit longer, you'll develop some more of those age type characters, and they're very interesting wines. They're different, and then beyond that kind of 10 year mark, we're not looking to make wines that are aging for much longer than that, I would say.
That's great to know. That's fantastic. Okay, what's up next? Where are you headed?
We're going to go out into the vineyard. So we're just going to have a look
Okay.
out in the vineyard out the front of the winery here. And it's springtime at the moment, so everything's looking lush and green. So come on out.
Oh, I love that. Well, it is fall. It is almost peak season in Chicago of the leaves right now. They are turning the most glorious reds and oranges. So it's you are truly on the opposite side of the world as it's spring in the Marlborough region of New Zealand. So we're getting all the spring greens. I'm really excited to see it.
It's a beautiful sunny morning. It's about 10 a.m. in the morning
Oh,
here
wow. Look at
this
that
morning in New
green.
Zealand. So yeah, we'll come on out. We'll head out to the front of the winery down the driveway. It's very, very famous. We have one of the best winery driveways in Marlborough. That a lot of people actually come and have their wedding photos taken on the driveway. It's a great place to work.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Well, we all have our own office. I'm doing a lot of podcasts in my office. I love to see your office though, Nick. I think you take the cake for one of the best offices.
We're pretty lucky. We're very, very lucky. So
Yeah, it's beautiful.
yeah, you can see the driveway that was established actually originally before the vineyard was the vineyard and the winery were built. And so these trees are well over 30, 35 years old, I would say. It's about
Mm,
it's about it's not quite a mile. It's about zero point 0.8 of a
okay.
mile to the end of the driveway. So you can really get a nice run into work in the morning down the trees. Come and have a
Wow,
look.
absolutely gorgeous.
So here we're coming across, and you can see some of the old established vineyards that we have here in Marlborough. So quite small down at the bottom. So we've got some American rootstock down the bottom here. Then there's a graft, and the American rootstock is to prevent against the phylloxera louse that we have living in the soil here and in other places in Europe as well. Then this is
Okay.
the main grapevine at the top here, so you can see that graft union. And then if you come in close, you can start to see some of the bunches developing. So we haven't had flowering yet, but we've had bud burst. The shoots are growing, most of them around a foot to a foot and a half at the moment. And these are all of the bunches that we can see along the line here. And so in Marlborough, we tend to use what's called vertical shoot positioning. And so we'll have two cordons going along the wire. So these are the the wood that was growing last year. The shoots have then been laid down and wrapped around the wire, and then the shoots grow up, and we have these lifting wires on the side here, and we lift those up, and so everything will kind of form a bit of a hedge, and that means that we get a lot of light exposure onto the berries, and that gives us those vibrant fruit characteristics that I'm talking about. And then also allows for a lot of airflow. So it's not too bad this morning, but Marlborough is a very, very windy place, and that's really great for disease pressure as well. Keeps that really
Mm.
nice and low, and also helps temper some of the hot, sunny days that we have with the wind.
And I know that for the most part, Marlborough is a pretty temperate climate. In your experience, Nick, have you ever had a harvest that has gone terribly wrong, or has the are you in the perfect conditions such that that's a rarity?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely easier and more tough vintages. I'd say the biggest challenge that we have here in Marlborough is unseasonal rain events and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
spring frost. So we've just come out of the spring frost season. We've got a
Mm-hmm.
couple more full moons kind of coming up in the next month that may cause us some issues. It snowed further down south in New Zealand um, just a couple of days ago, which has definitely brought some cooler weather. But the main challenge for us is late season rainfall. So we're harvesting from about the middle of March until the end of the first week of April, and then
Mm-hmm.
generally from the middle of April onwards, we get a lot of rain. And so if we have any of those sort of subtropical cyclones here, those can cause issues. It is a bit funny though. So if you look around, Marlborough is known as the place with the hole in the sky. So there's some
Mm-hmm.
clouds, maybe your viewers can see right in the distance. There's some clouds
Yeah.
hanging over the North Island in the
Uh-huh.
distance there, but essentially all around us, it's completely blue, and we're surrounded by mountains on all sides, and those mountains tend to take the brunt of the rainfall and actually protect us. And so, even in a difficult vintage here in here in New Zealand, Marlborough always produces incredible wines. Like we're very, very lucky in that regard.
Well, first of all, it looks like an absolutely picture perfect day. I'm wondering, how much time do you spend out in the vineyards, and like, what does your day normally look like? I mean, there's a lot of waiting, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
I mean, so
patience in
normally
farming.
I'll come into work and we'll look at some of the wines that are progressing through. Um, the previous year's wines heading to the bottling line. As we start to run up to vintage and through this period, I spend a lot more time out with Hamish and Dave, who are running our vineyards, looking at the sort of number of bunches that we have available. I'm already starting to think about March next year and the quantity of fruit and what styles we're going to have to produce. And then as vintage approaches, we spend a lot more time. I shift away from the winery and move almost directly out into the vineyard, and we're tasting the wines, we're taking analysis, we're looking for disease pressure, we're trying to work out what's the optimum time to pick, and then liaising with our vineyard team to organise harvesters, to organise all the trucks. The cool thing about us is we own all of that equipment, we own all of our own vineyards, and so we have that ability. If we see something, if Hamish and I and Sam and Dave are walking around and we see something that needs picking, we can pick it the next day. And then once things start to get underway and we've got a bit of a flow in the winery, then I move back more into the winery and I'm looking at fermentation. I'm tasting all the tanks every day. I'm tasting barrels. I'm looking at fruit as it's coming in and making decisions around sort of what style needs to be made. There's definitely winemakers have a bit of a style that's associated with us. There's a little bit of recipe goes into it, but ultimately we're trying to translate the flavors that are coming from that particular vintage into a bottle of wine. So you're really capturing a time and a place in that bottle, which is the really exciting thing I think about wine.
It is. It is to capture a moment in time through a wine. It is absolutely amazing. I'm wondering, you said that you harvest in March. When do you know that you got a good one? I mean, is it early on, like now, or is it closer to the harvest time? When do you kind of have a good gut feeling?
We can see the potential now. So, we know the number of bunches that are available. We have flowering to go through, and some inclement weather during that period can affect the level of crop. Ultimately, I would say we come back after Christmas and we're into it then. So the first week of January is when it's all guns a blazing.
Ah,
It still feels like you've got 3 months to run until harvest time. But as soon as I come back from the holiday break, we're focused on vintage pretty much solely. We're already hiring a lot of our overseas workers. So we bring in some people from America, from Canada, from Italy, from France, from all around the world to get experience with us as well. And so we're in the process of hiring those people at the moment. And we have to make those calls about how many we need to hire based on what volume of grapes is coming in. So there's a lot of thinking. We're always kind of checking and reviewing and making sure that we're making the right decisions. But ultimately, it's, the first day that the grapes come in and we get them in the tank and we see the quality of the juice, that's when we really know we're onto a good one.
I love it. Well, cheers to you, Nick. Thank you so much. I absolutely love both the Sauvignon Blanc and the Pinot Noir. Of course, Wairau River is known for its Sauvignon Blanc, as you alluded to, but this Pinot Noir is pretty terrific too.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we'd love to have any of your viewers down here in Marlborough to come and visit us.
And what a trip that would be. Absolutely. What a great travel inspiration in addition to learning a little bit about wine. So thank you so much. Have a great day and enjoy that beautiful sunshine.
Yeah, thank you.